It all started on a gloomy night, rain tapping insistently against my window pane. The wind whispered eerie secrets through the trees, creating a symphony of unease that seemed to seep into my very bones. Alone in my dimly lit apartment, I was seeking solace when I turned on the radio, but what greeted me was far from soothing. A haunting melody, distorted and crackling, oozed from the speakers. It wasn't a song I recognized, just a dissonant arrangement that tugged at the edges of my sanity. The strangest part was that there were no lyrics, only chilling notes that seemed to crawl beneath my skin. The atmosphere in the room shifted, as if the very air had thickened with an otherworldly presence. I reached for the radio's power button, desperate to silence the unsettling tune. Yet, no matter how hard I pressed, it continued to play, insistent and unyielding. My heart raced, and a cold sweat trickled down my spine. Panic clawed at the edges of my mind as the melody grew louder, echoing in my ears and resonating through the room. And then, in the midst of the dissonance, a faint whisper emerged, a voice hidden within the chaos, urging me to do things I couldn't control. My blood ran cold as I strained to understand the words, my instincts warring against an inexplicable compulsion. Fear had wrapped its icy tendrils around me, constricting my chest as I struggled to comprehend the impossible situation I found myself in. The voice within the melody spoke directly to my darkest fears and desires, as if it had unearthed my innermost secrets. Its commands were like a puppeteer's strings, manipulating my thoughts and emotions with a terrifying precision. I tried to drown out the relentless tune, covering my ears and retreating into the farthest corner of my apartment. But even then, its haunting melody seeped through the walls, resonating within the very structure of the building. It was as though the music itself was alive, a malevolent entity that defied reason. Hours passed, and I found myself in a haze of confusion and dread. The voice had grown stronger, more insistent, like a hypnotic chant that burrowed into my mind. Its commands became clearer, more vivid, and the boundary between my own will and its influence blurred. I could feel myself losing control, slipping into a state of surrender to the haunting melody. I tried to call for help, to reach out to friends and family, but the moment I picked up my phone, the voice's whispers intensified. It warned me against seeking assistance, promising that only through obedience would I find respite. Trapped in a nightmarish limbo, I felt as though I was spiraling into a chasm of madness, where my own thoughts were no longer mine to command. Days had melded into a disorienting blur, and I'd become a prisoner to the unrelenting melody. Sleep had become a distant memory, replaced by a ceaseless torment that seemed to erode the boundaries of my sanity. The voice's commands had escalated, pushing me to perform increasingly disturbing actions, each one a macabre dance of compulsion. I tried to resist, to fight against the voice's grip on my mind, but its power was overwhelming. It knew my weaknesses, my vulnerabilities, exploiting them with a cruel expertise. Each whispered directive clawed at my conscience, leaving behind a trail of guilt and horror. My reflection in the mirror had become a stranger to me, eyes haunted and hollow. My body moved of its own accord, driven by a force beyond my understanding. I watched, helpless, as I carried out deeds that sent shockwaves of revulsion through my soul. It was as if I was a spectator in my own body, forced to watch the unfolding nightmare from the inside. As the days bled into nights and back again, I began to realize that I was losing myself. The line between reality and delusion had become irrevocably blurred. The world outside had faded into obscurity, and the only constant was the haunting melody, an ever-present reminder of the malevolent entity that held me captive. Desperation gnawed at me, and I clung to the sliver of my remaining willpower, determined to break free from this sinister symphony that had ensnared me. In the midst of my torment, a faint glimmer of defiance flickered within me. It was a tiny ember of my former self, a reminder that I was not entirely lost to the malevolent force that had consumed me. With newfound determination, I delved deep into my memories, searching for a way to combat the insidious influence of the haunting melody. In the dusty corners of my mind, I unearthed fragments of forgotten knowledge, a tale of ancient rituals and forgotten incantations. Armed with this newfound understanding, I embarked on a desperate quest to break the curse that bound me to the tune. The journey was perilous, a battle against the very essence of the haunting melody that sought to keep me under its thrall. As I performed the intricate rituals and recited the incantations, the air crackled with a palpable tension. The voice's whispers grew louder, more frantic, as it sensed its imminent defeat. With a final surge of determination, I completed the ritual, my voice rising above the haunting melody in a crescendo of power. The room trembled, and the very fabric of reality seemed to warp and twist. And then, in a burst of ethereal light, the melody shattered, its hold over me disintegrating like ashes in the wind. Silence enveloped the room, broken only by my ragged breaths. The weight that had pressed upon my mind for what felt like an eternity had lifted. I was free, but the ordeal had left its mark. I was forever changed, haunted by the memories of the horrors I'd been compelled to commit. The scars ran deep, a constant reminder of the darkness that had threatened to consume me. As I gazed out of my window, the rain had ceased, and the sun's rays began to pierce through the lingering clouds. Hope blossomed anew, and I knew that I had emerged from the abyss stronger, more resilient. The haunting melody had been silenced, but its echoes would forever resonate within the corridors of my mind, a chilling reminder of the thin line between control and chaos, sanity and madness.